violation of the gentleman's code here. I'm your host, Bobby, here with Priamo, also a host. So we're gonna get into the episode this week. Hope you guys are having a good week, hustling hard. No, it's kind of a short week. Hope everyone had a good Memorial Day. We're gonna be talking about some of the stuff we did from Memorial Day, bouncing around the continental U.S. So welcome in everybody. Any questions anybody may have, please drop them in the chat. I made a post on X, so please, if you guys are seeing this, if you guys want to talk about anything specifically, we're an open book here. We're gonna talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, online business, current events, whatever it is. So please let us know. Drop it in the chat. But what's up, Pri? How you doing?
Going on, Boba Fett. Yeah, we were talking about the Indy 500 that I was just at, the race in Indianapolis. Yeah, we're talking about the guy who skidded out. Yeah, he just fucking folded. It was before the race even started. He was warming up his tires, so the racers will go back and forth and weave on the track because they do a couple of warm-up tracks before they actually start the race. And dude is in, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who's watching, but he was in first pole position. It was the first time ever a rookie who had secured the number one pole position. Before the race even starts, motherfucker burns out, runs into the sidewall, destroys the wheel, completely out of the race. Done before the race even started.
Yeah,
Rasclat.
that's the definition of a rookie move right there. That is a rookie move.
Rookie mistake. He fucking folded on the warm-up laps, dog.
Yeah, it's very interesting because if you look at a lot of IndyCar racetracks, they're not made like that racetrack at all. There's a lot of left turns, a lot of right turns, not a lot of straightaway. And those cars aren't even really made to go straight. They're made to be like left, right, left, right, left, right, real quick. And for something like that to happen on a long straightaway where he's, left or right, just too much gas. So that's why that race is so special, first of all, is because it's not like any other track. And I think they have a race. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they have an IndyCar race in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yes,
Um,
the
do they?
Daytona 500.
They race at Daytona too?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called the Daytona 500. I'm pretty sure that's the.
Isn't that NASCAR though?
Let me
Isn't
see.
NASCAR the Daytona 500?
Daytona 500. I could be wrong.
I
Trust
think
me,
it's NASCAR.
I'm definitely not a fucking race enthusiast, so I could definitely be super wrong. Daytona 500. Oh yeah, you're right. That's NASCAR.
I
Yeah.
think there's an Indy car, which is what those cars are at the Indy 500. I think they do a race in St. Petersburg where they like race through the city. It just happened over the summer or the spring.
Uh huh.
I didn't go to it. I should have went to it.
I
But yeah,
thought so. I thought it was called the Indy 500 because it was in Indianapolis. No, you're right. It's the actual car is IndyCar.
yeah.
Oh, I'm hilarious. I thought it was Indy 500 because it was in Indiana.
Well, it kind of is. It's Indy in Indy, and they do 500 miles. I'm pretty sure.
Right, 500 for 500 miles. So that's why I figured. I thought in my head Daytona 500 just meant okay. Well, they're racing in Daytona. It's the 500. It's got to be Indy cars or got to be those F1 looking cars.
Yeah, so I think the NASCAR race, when the NASCAR race happens at that track, they call it the Brickyard 400.
The Brickyard. What a
So
fucking
yeah,
name.
so yeah, super. That stuff's super cool. They do stock car NASCAR racing at Pocono in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you've ever been to that. That's over by my way, up in the Pocono Mountains.
I
That's a cool
haven't.
one. That's
Interesting.
the tricky triangle, so that it's the shape of a triangle, and then they have one big turn in the front and then two smaller turns to kind of complete the triangle. I used to go to that as a kid.
Here's what's nuts about the Indy cars too, is on the wheels when you see them up close, the wheels have zero tread, nothing. It's completely flat tire, and so it makes sense why they can spin out so easily before they get the tires warmed up because they got to get those tires ripping hot for it to have any kind of grip. But that was one thing that just shocked me whenever I saw it up close, the car, just how the wheels had just literally no tread. There is no tread there. It's just completely flat. It's
Just
weird.
rubber.
It's just rubber.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense because then the wings on the car create all that down pressure, that downforce to actually stick it to the track. How important that is, that downward force from the wings of the car and the aerodynamics, because otherwise, if it didn't have so much down pressure, then those cars would go fucking flying, which obviously happened to this guy before he warmed up his tires. He just gone, nothing.
So, what car manufacturers make those cars? Because F1 is like Mercedes, Ferrari, NASCAR is
Yeah.
Chevy, Ford. Like what kind of cars were those?
McLaren was there. So McLaren had a car.
McLaren has two.
Um, that's a good question. I'm assuming it's more of the F1 type cars. So
Brands, yeah.
Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, etc. I know for a fact McLaren was there because they had a big McLaren shop and the one driver was for McLaren. So let's see. What car brands make the Indy 500 cars? Because that is a good question. So the Indy 500 uses cars built by one chassis manufacturer and two engine manufacturers. Chevrolet and Honda are the engine providers.
Hmm.
All the cars use the same Dallara DW12 chassis. So chassis is from Dallara, engines are Chevy and Honda.
Mm,
Tires are Firestone. Interesting.
classic. Yeah, I think that's the main, because I was trying to think of the main difference between IndyCar racing and then F1 racing. And F1 racing, they literally let the teams kind of just go wild. So like they
Right.
let Ferrari, Mercedes, like they let them customize it and crazy. So what it sounds like IndyCar is they just have a couple manufacturers, they slap a bunch of cars together, and then they're all pretty competitive in that nature.
Right. Interesting. So, which is owned by. Interesting. Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now. Yeah, because I know, like you said in F1, correct, they have all those different car manufacturers and they actually create their own vehicles,
Hmm.
which is why all that technology that they have in F1 is what eventually trickles down into the supercars that individual citizens can buy
Yeah.
as street cars. So all that technology from Ferrari, Lamborghini, Mercedes, etc., that they put into their high performance vehicles is shit they develop for F1, right?
Yeah.
So what was the other thing I was going to say with the guy who crashed? Oh, yeah. So he was a rookie. He crashed. The tires were fucking flat. Um, there were also other crashes at the beginning of the race. So the beginning of the race, they said they had the most caution flags within the first 5 laps that they've ever had before. So people were fucking ripping and rocking. It was also raining and sprinkling before.
Yeah.
So they had to postpone the race and then dry it. They had vehicles that would come out and actually suction the water off of the track. So the track was super slippery. Guys were fucking flying into the walls and shit. It was nuts. It was
Those
nuts.
those trucks, they literally sound like they have like an airplane engine on them, don't they? Like they just like blowing or sucking the air out so fast. It's like an airplane whistle.
The other sick part about the race too was the introduction, the opening ceremony. So when they did the national anthem, they had a couple of different people to
Mm.
sing. They had the flyover, so they had the stealth bombers and the fighter jets fly over, which was sick as fuck. And then nobody knew this part was coming out. I believe this was new. I took the video and I posted it on Instagram. The cars on the first two warm up laps when they're all in formation, just fucking going. They sent the fucking Apaches. The choppers were fucking flying right over top of the cars on the track,
Super low.
super low, like right above the fucking Indy cars on the track and going around with the cars for 2 laps. Two fucking Apaches. It was sick. It was sick as fuck.
That's crazy. I did see that video. I was like, damn, those pilots are pretty much on the track, just whipping around like that.
Bro, one gust of wind, they're bang, they're ripping into the Indy cars. It was
Yeah.
nuts. Yeah. Um, yeah, go ahead.
So I was gonna say, we were talking. You mentioned the Daytona 500. There's a couple differences in like a race like that, like the Indy 500. Obviously, different cars, like NASCAR, stock cars. They're a little different in terms of the body of them. But once you get into those larger tracks, so you think of like a Daytona, a Talladega, they they race differently as they because they race in packs. So I don't know. You probably noticed like the Indy cars once they got going, they started separating and they were like maybe half a second behind the next car, whatever it is. And then in NASCAR, when you get to those super speedways, they all race in packs. So they'll race right next to each other, right in front, behind each other, and they draft off each other around the whole track. So they stay in one big pack. So that's why a lot of people like those Daytona races because it's like it's all action. Like anybody could win at any point in time because you could just go past like three, four cars on the outside and then you're in first place. And then like with Indy cars and Indy 500 tracks like that, Brickyard 400, it's just more like vroom, vroom, vroom. You're all like kind of racing for time and positioning. So that's like a main difference, and that's why I've been to the Daytona 500 once with my grandfather, and that's like kind of stuff he talks about is the different type of racing when guys are racing real close together, drafting from each other. It's really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when you get a lot more accidents too, or you get those guys
The
busting up
big
into,
ones.
yeah, the big pile ups. You get fucking 30 cars running into each other. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was long. It was 200 laps, so 500 miles total. I'm trying to think. The event was insane too. So it's the largest sporting event in the entire world. 350,000 people. Second time in history it ever sold out was this year. You know, they heard the big dogs were showing up, so it just sold out quick. And it was nuts. Getting there was, I just never seen that many people in one place before. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. And the track is so long because it's 2.5 miles, about, or 2.2, something like that. The track is so large that they had people inside of the track, all tailgating, posted up, booze and shit. They had all the stands around a 2.5 mile fucking track.
Yeah.
The bleachers all the way around on both sides. They had a fucking concert in the middle of the track. There was a whole other portion of the track where they had a full blown fucking concert. They had Elenium, Two Friends, all these people were performing. Grok was over there, or Grok, the fucking AI. Gronk was over there. Keanu Reeves was there. David Letterman was there. A bunch of other people. But all these things were going on as the race was going. They were throwing a full blown, I'm talking a full blown concert stage, pyrotechnics, fucking fire going off. People, they called it the snake pit. And this whole shit's going on while there's a race happening. It was just nuts. The scale of the thing. It was just nuts. The scale was
It's
unreal.
crazy. Yeah, and you're right because if you think of like a normal football game, like the most packed football game you could think of, college football, 100,000 people there. That's still not even a third of the amount of people that could go to this race because you're right. The track is so big and they have so many grandstands, and if they sell enough tickets, they're gonna get almost 500,000 people there.
It was nuts. It was. It was a cool experience. The town of Indianapolis itself, though, was,
I haven't heard great things.
yeah, kind of a fucking shithole. To be completely honest. Kind of bummy. Me and the gentleman, we pulled up the first day, and you know us, right? We're trying to go find the honeys, right? Where the honeys at? We go out it was Saturday we got there. So boom, we go out Saturday during evening, 3-4 o'clock, and we're hitting all the spots, all the bars, asking all the bartenders, where do we go? Da, da, da. Dude, I've never seen so many unattractive girls without seeing a hot girl in my life. I mean, it was, we were genuinely concerned. Like,
Damn.
is there not a single good-looking girl in Indianapolis? What is happening right now?
The fellas in Indy are struggling.
Struggling. We were famished. We were impoverished. There was not a hun in sight. And so we kept asking the bartenders. It got to the point where instead of asking for good bars to go to, because we kept asking, like, what's a good bar? What's a good bar? Eventually we just started saying to the bartenders, which is hilarious because it would be a chick, be like, where are the girls at? Like, literally, we said, where do we find the girls? Where are they? And so they kept saying, oh, they're probably up at the track because the day before, so the race is on Sunday, the day before people go up to the track, get their spots, get their tailgating positions, etc. And then they party all Saturday at the track and stay overnight and wake up early in the morning for the race. And so we were like, all right, hey, pray to God that's what's happening right now. They're all at
The
the track.
the track's only 2.5 miles long, so I mean you gotta do some searching still.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But that's what we got to the point saying. We said there's 350,000 people at this race. There's got to be at least a couple honeys. Like, just odds, statistically, there has to be some honeys. And oh, God bless, there were honeys at the race. Yeah, they were there. They were off. They were out of Indy and at the race. So we found them at the race on Sunday. We met a couple of girls that we ended up hanging out with the rest of the weekend. But yeah, dude, fucking hilarious. No huns. It was insane. It was to the point where it was genuinely concerning. I was flabbergasted at the lack of talent. Nothing, dude. I'm talking. We went to 4 or 5 different bars and there was not one good looking girl in the whole bar.
Wow. I mean, sounds right for Indiana, though. I mean, what else they got going there?
Yeah, because all the honeys, what do? As soon as a girl finds out she's hot, they all go run to the water, which makes sense. There's no
Yeah.
water, there's no bikinis in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
Man.
they're in New York, LA. They're splitting out of Indiana.
And that's a point with the social media, right? It's incredible how social media has completely changed the sexual and dating marketplace because now all these girls who are on social media, they find where all the guys are at with the money and they all go flock to these different parts of the world where all the hot girls are concentrated at. So when I go to Miami and I'm hitting on all these girls in Miami, I'm talking to 10 out of 10s left and right, Instagrams, phone numbers, boom, 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 boom. I go to Indianapolis, there was not one, bro, not one good looking girl.
Uh,
But it's incredible how all these girls, as soon as they get to college, they go somewhere where they want to go. So they'll go to
yeah,
University of Miami, they'll go to ASU, places that are nice weather, et cetera, where they can show it off. It's
yeah,
just what
that's
happens.
fair, fair. Speaking of social media, you could talk about kind of the videos. I know you were live this morning talking a little crypto. For maybe anyone who didn't catch it, I caught a little bit of the live stream this morning, but in terms of that, not really in terms of social media, but more in terms of crypto, I saw some news today come out. I don't know if you saw this, but so the coin USDC, the US dollar coin, was created by this company called Circle, I believe. Um, and they're doing an IPO for their company, Circle. And I guess BlackRock bought up 10% of the shares. I didn't really know what to think about that at first. I was like, huh, that's a little strange, but also, kind of a good thing, for the USDC, have some stability from these big players, these big financial institutions. So, what's your take on that? Did you see that? And what do you think of BlackRock buying up, pretty much USDC's company, 10% of the shares?
Yeah. So I did see that. I'm glad you brought that up. So here are my initial thoughts on it. Number one, and the most important, is it means that they're adopting crypto on an institutional level, which we've known about for the past year plus with the ETFs, but now it's not a joke. All these major financial institutions understand that, okay, this is where the future of currency is going. We need to have a part in this. So for price go up or for number go up strategy where you just hold a bunch of crypto and number goes up and you make money, it's bullish, right? Because if institutions are getting behind all these things, then obviously the institutions are going to make sure that not only do the assets survive, but they thrive and they go up in price. Okay, right? That's the first thing. So bullish for number go up. Not good is that the whole idea, the whole concept of crypto is to be decentralized finance, decentralized currency where a government doesn't own it or control it, companies can't own it or control it, etc. That was the whole idea behind Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. That is going further and further away, which is sad. But unfortunately, everybody's degenerate and doesn't really care as long as their coins go up, right? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is like the people in crypto just don't care as long as they're getting rich. And so what you see happening is it's cryptocurrency is becoming less and less decentralized now that they know they can't actually govern it or outlaw it entirely. So what they're doing is they're just adopting it at a fast speed and starting to control it. So that's what
Yeah.
BlackRock's looking to do is they want to control it. Then if they can't stop it, they're going to control it.
Yeah, and I think it's critical for USDC specifically because that's the gateway to get onto, if you want to buy some Bitcoin, you want to buy some Ethereum, like you're gonna have to put your actual USD into something, whether that's USDC, USD Tether. You're gonna have to. That's like the main gateway. As soon as you get into crypto, you're gonna have to be exposed to one or of those couple that they have. So USDC is critical in that aspect that it's the bridge, it's the gateway to how you get from US dollar to crypto investing. So I mean, super good investment for BlackRock, but like you're saying, yeah, the decentralized aspect. But it's kind of it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like you're saying, it's good. Like, for coin go up, like it's good that for this adoption, for more people being exposed to it, more institutions getting involved. But yeah, we're losing that aspect of, okay, it's like BlackRock can't come in and buy all this. Oh wait, they just did. And then the U.S. government and MicroStrategy buying up billions and billions of Bitcoin every single day and every single year. You start to get worried about, okay, well, if Michael Saylor owns 3% of the supply and then he decides to, do whatever he wants to do with it, it's like that supply is basically gone. It's burned. You can't do it. You don't know what's going to happen with that. So there's a lot of different aspects I feel in that sense that, is a little shaky.
Yeah, I agree. And so, yeah, it comes down to the question, are people going to be more greedy and worry about number go up, or are they more interested in decentralized finance? So, you know, the longer anybody's in crypto, the more you realize that there isn't really any 100% decentralized coin other than something like Bitcoin, which nobody knows who the founder is, who created it. Nobody controls it except like Bitcoin is the one and only that's still basically fully decentralized. Ethereum has the Ethereum Foundation, who can stop the network or upgrade the network. They can freeze the Ethereum network if they want to. They've done it in the past. That's how Ethereum Classic came about, was to because what they did is they put a fork in the blockchain whenever Ethereum went off of its original technology into its new technology that it uses right now with the smart contracts. They created a fork in the blockchain. So the
Oh,
old,
really?
yeah, so the old Ethereum technology is actually still used on Ethereum Classic, which is another crypto that you can buy. So Ethereum Classic is the original blockchain they had. So even Ethereum's not decentralized. And then you have Solana. Solana, they've also paused the Solana ecosystem before. Last bull run, after everything blew up, they had to stop the Solana ecosystem because fucking Solana went to like $6 and it was going to become insolvent, illiquid. So at some point you realize every single blockchain is not actually fully decentralized, except for Bitcoin, right? So that's why at the end of the day, it is so important to actually own Bitcoin as the long-term store of value, store of wealth. But now the issue with Bitcoin is the way that governments are starting to govern that blockchain is, well, wait, we don't necessarily know 100% who owns that wallet address, but because it's a public ledger, it's public. Every transaction from the beginning of Bitcoin is on the public ledger. You can go find it and you can go see it. So it's public.
Yep.
So the government can go look at the public ledger on the blockchain and see, okay, what wallet did this transaction, what transaction did this to what wallet, da, da, da. And then what they can do is they can blacklist wallet addresses as, this is criminal activity or this is a wallet that you can't interact with, et cetera. And so what it does is it prevents other people from interacting with that wallet if the government wants to, like Michael Saylor. Like if they know what wallet Michael Saylor has and then his wallet interacts with a blacklisted wallet, they can impose penalties on Michael Saylor, right? So that's kind of the way that they're imposing the law even on a seemingly decentralized blockchain, right?
That always interested me about how do these people track down who are the owner of these wallets? How do they do that? Like I know obviously some people have to like put their name out there that's their wallet, but if you're tracking down celebrities and like what their wallets are, how could you possibly backtrack that?
So if it's a government doing it, my assumption would be that at some point, most people, well, not true, not most people, but let's just say it's just a common person who just got into crypto. Now they got a wallet and they start doing illegal shit. If for whatever the reason, if the government was coming after you, at some point you probably put money onto a Robinhood or a Coinbase, and then you sent money or sent crypto off of that exchange into a wallet.
Yeah,
So if
that makes sense.
so if the government subpoenas Coinbase or Robinhood saying, "Hey, we want this person's," because that's why they have KYC, know your customer. So Coinbase has all your information, social, etc., tax records. They can send that to the government. Government can take a look at what wallets you've sent crypto to from the exchange, and that's how they would know that's yours.
Yeah. And that kind of stuff has been around for a long time. It's been on FBI's eyes, CIA, I'm sure, because if you guys remember the dark web back in, our age now, back in the early 2000s, you would hear about the dark web. Like, what was the dark web? It was a place inside of the internet where you could get on these secret websites that weren't on traditional www dots or HTMLs. And the currency used there to buy illegal drugs, to traffic people, to do this illegal activity, guns, like whatever it was crypto at the time. And that never really fully clicked with me until I started getting into crypto. But that is how they would transaction back in the day, back on the dark web. And I'm sure they still do it on the dark web now.
Hmm.
So I'm sure the government has had, that technology of tracking people and figuring out how it's moving between wallets and all that for a long time. But yeah, it came full circle to me a couple weeks ago. I was watching a documentary about one of these guys who stole like $30 million from someone, but he was doing it on the dark web.
No, you go ahead. I think this is a different guy actually.
Yeah, he was a guy from London, I think, or in the UK, and he was on the dark web. He supposedly was selling like weapons, right? And he was in the FBI's crosshairs. Like they were trying to find out who this guy was because they were tracking his wallets. They saw like he was just getting constant purchases coming in, coming in, coming in. And then eventually one of the arms dealers he was working with just ratted him out. But he ended up making over like thirty million dollars in Bitcoin just from being on the dark web selling guns.
Yeah. So yeah, and that is right with the dark web. That's where crypto originated, the use case for it. And so then the government basically tried to make crypto out to be something only criminals would use. Well, criminals can use it 100%, but the idea is that it's decentralized. The government can't control the currency because the government currency is inherently inflationary. And so if you work for US dollars, you have to understand that the government pays you or companies pay you in a currency in which the government can just print itself. So you get no control over the depreciation of the own currency that you use. The government does. That's not a good idea. And then the government can control whether or not they allow you to use that currency, issue the currency, who they issue it to, who they sell it to. You're fucked. You have no control. So Bitcoin, the idea was, okay, we have only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be mined ever. Fixed supply. Well, guess what? Fixed supply means that there's a guarantee of no inflation. If you have a fixed supply, you can never inflate the currency. You can only appreciate because it becomes more scarce over time as more people buy it.
Yeah.
So it's inherently non-inflationary. And then over time, supply will get burnt naturally. So eventually get to the point where even less than 21 million Bitcoin are available because there's going to be wallets that people lost with Bitcoin
Oh,
in it.
there's already probably way less now.
Absolutely. You can burn supply. Michael Saylor could take all the Bitcoin he has right now, fucking whatever wallet or ledger he has that Bitcoin on, he could just fucking put it inside of a bomb, blow it up, and that Bitcoin's gone forever. Like it's just, like it's you can so it's non-inflationary, and then also that it's anonymous. Well, technically anonymous, but then they have ways to get around that. But that's why I love crypto. Crypto is it's sick. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it so in depth for a year now, and when we first start, I mean, we've learned so much. Think about it in this past year when we had. I remember the first conversation we had about it. I was in the car talking to you. I was like, "Yeah, you investing in this and that?" You're like, "Yeah, let's get into it." And we got into it so deep. And for anyone watching this that maybe thinks, this is like our strategy is buy and hold. Like, there's so much more to it, and what we do on the day to day is not just buy and hold. It is to a certain extent, but there's so many moves inside of the moves. A lot of
Right.
people will look at a 3 month time frame and say, "Oh, Bitcoin went up 20%." Okay, well, other assets also probably went up 50% in the same time frame, but it went up 20% in a week, down 20%, up 25, down 18. So there's so many mini moves inside of these big swings and these big trends, right? These bull runs, right? Where you can make so much money if you just know what to look for. And I believe that volatility is a good thing. Volatility is the price going up and price going down mixed with volume, how many people are buying into it. Those should be your key indicators. Like just look at the percentage. How much is it moving? Like how much potential do I have to make? And we talk about this all the time inside of the community, inside the Taylor's Code. If you guys want this in-depth analysis, you guys should definitely join us and come work with us every single day on this. But traditional investments, like we're saying, Bitcoin is the store of value because it doesn't move as much. You're not going to make, thousands of thousands of dollars, depending on how much you have. If you just park it in there and watch it grow, that's not the asset for that. So, Paramo goes live. He was live this morning talking about the assets that he sees and what he believes are the best moves to make for those assets.
And so talking about the keeping things private, right? So we were saying how Bitcoin now they have ways of actually, because it's a public ledger, they can track the transactions even though the wallet addresses are technically anonymous. So a new crypto that is out there that we haven't really talked about before is Monero. So have you heard of Monero?
No.
Oh, perfect. So this would be good to talk about. Monero is a newer crypto, not within the last year or two. It's from last cycle, but it's gotten more and more popular over time. Monero basically took the same exact Bitcoin ideology and blockchain technology, so proof of work, but then made it private. So instead of a public ledger, it's a private ledger. So I'll actually give you a quick description from Grok just to make it pretty obvious. So Monero is a privacy-focused cryptocurrency designed to provide secure, anonymous, and untraceable transactions. So secure, anonymous, which Bitcoin is also secure and technically anonymous, but untraceable transactions is the big difference. So on
That's
Bitcoin,
big.
yeah, you can trace every transaction. It's on the blockchain, public ledger. For Monero, it's untraceable. You can't actually see any of the transactions taking place. So unlike Bitcoin, which has a transparent blockchain, Monero uses advanced cryptographic techniques to obscure transaction details, including sender identities, recipient addresses, and transaction amounts. So perfect. So now not only can you not see who the sender is or the recipient, but you can't even see how much Monero is getting sent back and forth.
Oh.
So key features and mechanisms, just real quick. So privacy by default. Monero transactions are confidential and untraceable by default, unlike Bitcoin where privacy is optional. It uses multiple cryptographic techniques to achieve this, ensuring that no one can link transactions to real world identities or see the amounts transferred without access to private keys. Beautiful. So the idea is, but without getting too complicated for the viewers, is now guys are using this to make transactions. But guess what? They're starting to ban in countries across the world. Monero. So it's not even that. It would be a lie to say that these nations around the world are all embracing cryptocurrency. It's amazing. Our people should be able to have this decentralized, inflammatory currency, etc. They don't give a fuck about you. Monero actually provides the 100% anonymous feature that Bitcoin failed to do with the public ledger, getting banned across Europe, different countries, etc. It's getting banned. Why? Because they can't control it.
Yeah, I mean, does that come down to they don't want to know how much money everyone's making? They want it for tax reasons, for expense reasons. They don't want, Priamo to be able to send me $10 million in this coin and then they can't trace it. They have no idea I have it, and then I slowly chip away at it for 10 years. They don't want that. They want to know and they want to see it, especially when it hits your tax returns because they want their tax money. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it the other day, technologies like this, it reminds me so much of the internet bubble. And when these internet companies started popping up, and a lot of them are still around to this day, but it was like the Wild West where new technologies popping up, new ideas, new things popping up that you could get invested in and you could get involved in. And that's what the crypto space is becoming now. If you invested like, if this Monero is one that could be big into the future and you invest now, in 10 years it could be worth who knows how much the price, thousands upon thousands of percents more than what it is now. I mean, if we can even pull it up, like how much has it already grown? I'm sure it's a ridiculous amount since it came out. So that is the real exciting part for me about what this is all about is
Mm-hmm.
that it's a new technology. We don't know what it's going to look like in 20 years, 30 years. It could be totally different. And I think it's going to have to go through a different phase because right now there's just too many. And I think this technology will work best when everybody's kind of using the same thing almost. Not everyone using Bitcoin, not everybody using Ethereum per se, but there has to be some sort of shift if we're going to go from traditional currency to cryptocurrency that makes it universal for everyone to use, which we can now technically, but I just don't think everybody, like if we're going to send like Brett back and forth to everyone, it's like it doesn't really make sense, or even going from Ethereum to Pepe, like, there's just too many layers and kind of too much complex stuff. So I think for it to really take the next step, it's going to have to become more like of a centralized network in some way.
Yeah, so it would basically just be a um, a treasury backed stablecoin would be the easiest thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it would just be that. So instead of the U.S. government issuing paper USD, they would just issue a stablecoin. That's it. Problem solved.
Which I'm surprised they haven't already.
They just approved it. They just approved it in Congress, I believe. Hold on, let me pull it up. So this is huge because this did not make as many waves as it should have. So let me look this up. So we'll go over this. Did the U.S. approve a stable coin, or at least legislation to allow them to do it? So the United States has not yet fully approved a comprehensive stablecoin framework as of May, but significant legislation progress has been made. The Genius Act, yeah, this is what they just passed. So the Genius Act, Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act, which aims to establish a federal regulatory framework for stablecoin issuers, has advanced through key stages in Congress. Here's a summary based on recent developments. Senate progress, yeah, it was on May 19th. That's the one that happened recently.
Okay, so all stablecoin issuers. So not just it's not saying just like the US government, it's saying anybody who issues a stablecoin.
Yes. Yes. So the U.S. Senate voted 66 to 32 to advance the Genius Act, overcoming a procedural blockade and defeating a filibuster. This bipartisan vote, supported by 16 Democrats, marks a major step toward establishing federal rules for stablecoins, which are cryptocurrencies pegged to assets like the U.S. dollar to maintain stable value. Interesting. Okay, so that's not the U.S. themselves actually issuing it. So I take that back. That's just them saying that stablecoin issuers are going to have a good regulatory framework.
Yeah. I mean, which comes back full circle to this BlackRock thing that I mentioned in the beginning, that this company Circle, who is the creator of USDC, this coin, which is, I guess, who that legislation would be aimed at, would be at coins like USDC, USDT, to make sure that they have the regulation and the laws in place for when people use their US dollar to get USDC, USDT, that they have a good framework of laws and things built out. So I guess BlackRock saw that law pass and they're like, all right, here's our investment into that. So yeah, I think it's key for the future of the crypto community. You need to have those strong stable coins tied to the US dollar in some way, or people are just going to be able to manipulate the markets.
And so here's what's interesting about these stable coins too, because originally they were obviously attacked, seen as a threat. The government's always going to see as anything new and innovative as a threat to the current status quo. And so what was happening with USDT primarily, whenever it was starting to get big, was, okay, hold on a second. Is this going to incentivize people to hold these stable coins as opposed to the actual US dollar itself, which would be inherently bad for the U.S. government because the currency would obviously become useless over time, which in turn would also affect the value of the stable coins, which is not good. But that was their mindset. It's like, okay, are people going to move their U.S. dollars into these stable coins as opposed to holding, for example, treasury bonds, right? And the reason now it seems like the government's okay with these stable coins being around is, do you know how these stable coins maintain their value, what the companies do?
They backed by the same amount, like in the beginning.
So what Tether and USDC do in order to maintain the value pegged to the US dollar, they have to purchase that. However many stablecoins they issue, they have to back it with US Treasury bonds.
Oh, okay.
So Tether is actually, if I'm not mistaken, either the largest in the US or one of the largest in the US holders of treasury bonds. I believe it's actually number one in the US behind actual countries like China.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So what it actually ended up doing was it helped the US Treasury and the government, because now Tether, they're actually the ones who are fucking buying all the treasury bonds to be able to back the value of the stable coins that they issue to people that they issue.
Makes total sense.
So it's actually a self-fulfilling type of prophecy where now the government's actually for stablecoins because these stablecoins are actually keeping the bond market healthy. These companies, because they have to purchase all these treasury bonds to keep the value of their dollars on chain.
Well, it also makes so much sense as to why you get such high rate of return if you stake those stable coins. They wouldn't just be giving you 5-6% if it wasn't backed by anything, because then they'd be losing money. But if it's backed by a bond percentage and they know they're going to make at least 3 to 4% on a bond, I don't know what the bond rates are right now, but if they know they're going to make that money off of their bonds, then they're like, all right, we'll just give it back to the people that are investing in the stable coin.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
they're making money, the government's making money. It's a win-win for both of them.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's interesting how these companies work, and that's why it's so important to be. I mean, just think about the conversation you, me are having. 99.9% of people across the globe wouldn't have be able to have this type of conversation, right?
No.
It's why it's so important to be educated on what the breaking new technologies are. This is why I love what you do with AI so much, is because you're actually understanding and learning how to use AI for all these different use applications. You understand how to use it for e-commerce. You understand how to run businesses, etc. That's huge because so many people are just not using AI at all. So many people are just not using cryptocurrency at all. This is where the world is going. This is the equivalent of saying in the 90s and early 2000s that everybody's starting to use the internet. Not everybody, no. Very few people are starting to use the internet. And then you come in and saying, you know what, the internet's stupid. Cell phones are stupid. They're not going
I
to
got
be.
my newspaper.
Yeah. Bomba clot talking, I don't need a cell phone. I don't need the internet. This is stupid. I'll use my book. I'll use my encyclopedia. Brother, I respect the discipline or the idea of sticking to your guns in the way that you do things. But guess what? That's not how business works. That's not how the world works. That's the reality of it. So if you want to stay on the cutting edge and actually be able to make ridiculous amounts of money and exploit the system in ways where you're going to be able to extract large amounts of value and make a shit ton of money, you're going to have to do what most people aren't doing. And that's be in crypto, use AI, understand where these industries are moving to so that you can position yourself underneath the waterfall before the waterfall actually starts pouring. You see what I'm saying? Like you got to stand beneath the flow of money before that money starts to flow. If you wait till that money's already flowing there and there's a bunch of people standing there already, you're missing out. There's less opportunity. There's less money to be made. So you got to go to where the money's going to flow. And you see it now more and more with these institutions. The money's flowing into crypto. More money's flowing into crypto. It's all starting to move to crypto. I mean,
Yeah,
we've been talking about this since college, since you and me were in college together.
I know. I know. If if you think about it, 20 years down the line, your kid asks you, Dad, why didn't you invest in crypto back in 2024? It'd be like, I don't know, son. I didn't believe in it. Your kid's gonna think you're an idiot
He's gonna look at
because
you. Yeah.
in 20 years down the line, everybody's gonna be part of this, and it's just the early adopters will win. And like you're saying with AI, one of the craziest things about AI, and when we went to college, I went for accounting and finance, and I always wanted to go for computer programming, right? I was always interested with building applications, building websites, just like I do now. But the thing with AI is you could literally build a whole software just off of one prompt. There's this application I've been using, Windsurf. It will build you any application, any website, anything coding, JavaScript, C++, HTML. It will code anything you want just by you prompting it. It's like, I want a website with blue headings and this on the left, and I want this application, API plugin, ChatGPT, API plugin, Google Maps, and it will build it for you. I've built in this new application. It's called Mind Map. Breaking news, everyone. All right, I'm breaking the news now. I've been building this application called Mind Map, and what it is, it's a place where you could take notes, write your task in, but it has an API plugin with ChatGPT that it will organize it for you. So when you take notes, and sometimes you get like 3-4 pages away from your old notes and you just kind of forget about it. This application is to combine like things that are similar together and let AI kind of figure it out. And it's a mind map. So it's going to take your notes in, it's going to organize them, and then I built in a structure. So it's going to tell you what you have to work on next based on your notes. And I built this in like 3 days using AI and windsurf. It coded the whole thing. It's insane. It's crazy.
That's sick. That's fucking sick. That shit gets me fired up because I had no idea that's even a thing. That's what I'm saying. I didn't even know that. So now we need this for the websites because I need to make a better fucking website. Have you
Yeah.
tried it for websites yet?
Yeah. It'll build a website in an hour. Not even. The thing is, though, then you have to hook, because it could build you any website you want in a file, right? It'll be in a file on your computer. The thing is, then you have to have a host, and the AI will do this for you, but then you just have to pay for it to be hosted somewhere. That's all. That's what Squarespace is. That's what GoDaddy. That's what Shopify is. It's just a host to get that file on your computer to the internet, pretty much.
Should we be doing this for the Taylor's Code?
We could build a new Discord software and have the Taylor's Code be an application on your phone.
Brother, what? We got to start doing this shit.
We could. Let's do I know I have if anybody in here is in the Taylor's Code, we have the AI section. We'll start building that out. We'll start doing some group sessions and yeah, I'll do a whole video this week on windsurf.
Brother, that's going to be something this weekend for sure. I'm down to get into with you in the Discord. We should map out a new website because I definitely need to update the Taylor's Code website. I'm sure you're going to work on one for yours too. And then, yeah, and have that as a course inside of the Discord too, where we'll have them learn how to build their own websites, build their own applications and shit through the
Yeah.
software that you've learned. That's fantastic. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, and where I was going with this is that people go to school and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn how to be computer programmers, and that is all thrown out the window and lit on fire because it doesn't matter anymore. Someone like me who learned AI in the past 6 months can build any website, any application I want now. And that is the whole point of these new technologies emerging is that people are going to get left behind. You're going to start seeing, you already have seen it, mass layoffs. Microsoft did a mass layoff, 7,000 people gone. Why? Because they have Copilot, they have ChatGPT. They don't need humans anymore. They're just going to have the AI agents do it. So the sooner you're able to learn this stuff and learn to have it work for you as opposed to it take your job, it's only going to be helpful and benefit to you.
What you just said, it's going to take your job anyways. People have no sense of urgency. They don't understand where the world is going. This is different. This is different than any other time in human history, okay? It's not different. It's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. No, listen, understand this. This is the first time in human history where they've ever developed something that is as intelligent, if not more intelligent, than a human being. So the first time that people ever had competition against something that was not a human for their own job, right? Machines slowly start to phase workers out, but at least you have people who work on the machines and you can have them do different types of jobs. This is a mind that will replace your mind. This is the
It's way
first,
smarter than you.
and it's way faster. That's the other thing. It's way faster and has access to so much more information. So even if quite literally IQ, intelligence wise, is not quite as smart as a human being, which it is. But regardless of that fact, it's just that the speed and the ability to access all the information is where you're getting fucked
Yeah.
instantly. So this is why you have to have urgency. You can't be stuck thinking that I'm going to get by with this job or with this. No, you're not. You're not. You're going to lose your job. You're going to lose your opportunity. You have to learn how to make money using these things.
Yeah, and we talk about it all the time too. Your return on investment of having a normal job these days is not worth it. You're never gonna be financially free from just having a job. It's just the truth. People back in the day, back in the 1950s, 60s, could have a job and it could have two, three cars, could have a big house, 4 bedrooms, and have 4 kids, and then put them all through college. It's not today's world. It's just not how it is. You have to become so exceptionally good at what you do to be able to generate enough revenue for you to just be like, I'm doing my own thing. I want to build a business. I want to do this. You have to be so exceptionally good that if you don't learn these tools, if you don't learn the financial tools of crypto and how to take loans out against it and how to get percentage APY and how to use AI to build you things and AI agents and build websites, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a better way to just deliver the message in a way where people are going to understand how urgently you have to move. The faster that people move, the higher sense of urgency they are, the more successful that person is. I know that for a fact from the last 4 years of my life being in business. The people who move the fastest, I'm talking like physically, literally move quickly, drive quickly, do things quickly, work quickly. These are the people who actually get shit done and have some type of sense of purpose. You have to move with speed. You can't just think about what Bobby just said there over the last minute and say, oh, yeah, that's a great point. Bobby's right, for sure. Figure it out next week. It's too late, bro. Wake the fuck up. It's too late. You needed to be rich. I've been saying this for years. You needed to be rich yesterday. I needed to be rich yesterday. Today's already too late. So what are you waiting for tomorrow for? Today's already too late. So you have to move. You have to educate yourself on these things. You have to use Grok. You have to use ChatGPT. You have to understand. You have to do the things that Bobby is doing. Figure it out. Find a way to make money. And then, most importantly, on top of that, once you've learned the skill, once you understand how to use these products, whether you join the Taylor's Code, through the network, through self-education, etc., as soon as you learn it, now actually go make money with it. That's the other thing too. You can sit on your computer all day and operate in a realm of motion where you just educate, study. But if you never actually apply any kind of action behind it or do something to actually make the money, you're still losing. Okay.
Yeah.
So educate, yes. Learn it, yes. But then go make money with it. You're never going to be able to change your situation unless you start making the money. That's why you need to know these things. It's about making money at the end of the day.
And the crazy part is, like Priamo's right on 100%. You should absolutely apply the knowledge that you're educating and investing into. But the thing is, in today's world, you could go online, teach yourself for 6 solid months. You want to be the top AI guy. You want to know every software. You want to know everything. And then you make a YouTube channel where you educate other people on how to build AI and how to do this and how to do that. And then YouTube starts paying you, and then your viewers start paying you. And it's just a never-ending cycle of revenue streams. I think so many good things can come for people putting themselves out there and telling other people what they know. You've seen success with it, and lots of other people have done things. Think about what's his name? That one kid, Marquise Brown, is it? He's the tech kid. He reviews the new iPhones and stuff.
I don't know who
His
that
first
is.
he's a black guy, Marquise. His first videos when he was like 13 was like with the iPhone 8. And he just stuck with it, doing videos all the time. Now he has millions of followers. He gets every brand new electronic that comes out. The company send it to him to review, and he's worth probably like multi-millions of dollars just because he was reviewing iPhones and reviewing tablets. And now he does cars. Like he does everything he wants now just because he had an expertise in one particular area and he started telling people about it, making videos, showing his creativity. And I think that could go the power of social media with the power of financial freedom in crypto, in AI is limitless.
And being able to use AI to make money in crypto is the next step of it. So I know somebody personally who he's used AI to what you were talking about with coding. He's used AI to code him bots that will manually trade crypto for him, so he doesn't even have to sit there and look at charts and hit call and sell and execute. He spent the last couple months, incredible. Dude's a fucking savage. Made millions in crypto too. AI'd an entire trading bot that's in the Discord where buy, sell, profit, sells for you after 2x, percentage of the bag, sells for you, get like everything. You literally do nothing other than just call out the contract address. All with AI because he knew how to use AI to build it. So Think about all this power, all this information that's out there that the top tier, highest level individuals are doing to make millions of dollars, while the other 99% of people who don't access this information, don't access this technology, aren't a part of a network with myself, Bobby, these other people that I know, don't have access to this information. You perpetually lose. You think you're smart by going on Coinbase and buying fucking random coin that's on Coinbase and you're going to make $1 million off of it with your 10 grand. No. Yeah, can you make money on Bitcoin? Can you make money on Ethereum? Can you make money on Pepe? Yeah, 100%. You're not making life-changing money there, though, if you don't already have a large sum of money. That's where you got to grow wealth. You want to fucking make money? You got to be doing what these guys are doing with building bots with AI and building businesses, going into sales, earning. Like, you have to do shit that's going to bring you in cash flow, make you bread. You're not going to make money just thinking that you're smart because you bought a coin on Coinbase. Brother, you're so far from the realm of the guys who are on chain like me and Bobby. Like, you don't even understand. You don't know what you don't know. Quite
Yeah,
literally.
that's the problem, is that you don't know what you don't know. And there's a lot of, there's a lot of, what's the word, hype beasts in the crypto industry.
That's
People
true
that'll
too.
say a lot of things on the internet, like tell you to, oh, I know what I wanted to tell you. I know what I wanted to tell you. I forgot about this. You know how I sent the live stream of the crypto conference? I sent it to the guys in the chat.
Yeah.
I was watching, I had that chat up in the background while I was working, and I was watching for probably an hour, right? I had it up for almost 2 hours. I wanted to watch JD Vance speak. I don't know, he never came on. And it got to the part where Michael Saylor was talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of when Michael Saylor was talking, it went into like this, it started talking about you deposit money into this website, and Michael Saylor was saying this, by the way, and he's like, deposit money into this site. He's like, scan the QR code on the screen. I scanned the QR code on it. It was whatever you deposited up to $1 million, they were gonna double it into your account. And I was like, really? Up to $1 million, they're gonna deposit it, right? And as I'm on the website, it skips and it starts from the beginning again. And I was like, what is this? And I was watching it. As I'm watching it, the website crashes and gets taken down. Somebody, whoever was running that YouTube channel, made an AI version of Michael Saylor and said, scan the QR code, deposit money, and we'll double it. And I swear to God, it crashed as I was watching it. It was crazy. So somebody made Michael Saylor with AI say, put money onto this, and we're gonna double it. It was crazy. I almost did it too. I was like, what? How nuts is
What?
that? I'll send you, if you go onto that video link I sent, that page is gone. They deleted the page off YouTube.
What? What a
That's how
fucking
crazy.
scam.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That's genius.
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 I bet you it got lots of people.
Oh, yeah.
There was like 3,000 people watching the stream while I was watching it.
Genius.
And it was so legit. The website was so good. It looked like the Bitcoin conference. It had JD Vance, it had Saylor, it had the Winklevoss twins. It was like double your money now. It looked so legit. And then I saw it skip and it started from the beginning again. Like it was on repeat. And Michael Saylor started saying the same stuff. And I'm like, why is this going back over this? And then it crashed. It was crazy.
The one you sent yesterday at 12:17 in the crypto chat,
Yeah.
the Bitcoin Conference 2025 live stream. I'm clicking on it, see if it's still there.
What if you can create your own website by saying,
100 Bitcoin magazine, 159,000. Is it this one?
Yeah, whichever one I sent in the chat.
It's still
this
up,
is
the
what I
video, let me
want?
see.
With Wix, you can.
Wow. Starting stream soon. Bitcoin 2025. View the full agenda with the QR code. Let's see.
Like Bitcoin.
So where was the part with Michael Saylor at the end?
You know what? This might have been the legit one because this is the Bitcoin magazine.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this one looks. Well, I wouldn't know the difference because it sounded like it was fucking good. The
I mean,
footage.
yeah, because this isn't the one that Michael Saylor was speaking at. I wanted to see him speak, and I think I clicked on a different video.
What a
Yeah,
fucking
this is the
scam, though.
legit one. But yeah, that it was in like the it must have been like on the side where you could see like related videos, and it said like it was like he was speaking, so I clicked on it and was watching it. Almost got me for probably a couple $100, but I didn't. I was like, I know better than to do that, but
Wow. And
crazy.
those crypto scams work because I see them on Twitter all the time, different websites, on our YouTube channel, we get them all the time. People fall for the dumbest shit, just the
Hmm.
dumbest shit, airdrops, etc. Which again, to a degree I understand because for complete newbies, I get it because they don't really know what an airdrop is or they don't really understand
Yep.
what the significance of giving up their seed phrases, etc. But something like that, what you just said, that is such a fantastic scam that absolutely people would fucking fall for that.
Yeah, it was nuts. I want to see if I still have the page open in my Safari.
Wow. You ever hear of have you ever read 48 Laws of Power?
No, I have not, but I've seen it. It's definitely on my want to read list.
So 48 Laws of Power is, well, everybody talks about it. It's a fantastic book, right? But what I really enjoy about the book, outside of the laws that they teach you, is the historical significance they attach to each law and the people that exhibited these laws. And there's this famous French con man. They talk about a couple different con men throughout the book. This famous French con man that basically set up some of the most fantastic cons of all time. I'm going to look up his name, but there was a French con man that sold the Eiffel Tower multiple times to different businessmen. He sold it to them, which obviously he couldn't, right? But he conned businessmen into buying the Eiffel Tower from him more than one time. The greatest con man to ever live. His name was, let's look it up real quick because I have to I can't remember the name. So, who was the French?
So you're saying the Eiffel Tower is standing there in Paris, and he's going to rich business guys. You want to buy it, and
Yep.
then they buy it for money, and then he's like, "See ya."
See ya. I'm telling you, it is genius. This guy. This is what it was. Victor Lustwig. Yep. So he wasn't French. Excuse me. He was Austro-Hungarian. So, but he sold the Eiffel Tower. So here it is right here. So the notorious con artist who famously sold the Eiffel Tower twice, he sold it, was Victor Lustig. So they talk about Victor Lustig in the book a couple times. So known as one of history's most audacious swindlers, Lustwig pulled off the scam in Paris in 1925. So here's a brief overview of the scam, just because it's just genius, and so people understand how you got to think in business. Not saying that you should scam people, but you have to be creative. And you have to understand how people think, and also understand how people think so that you don't get scammed yourself.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So if the scam was, Lustwig posed as a high-ranking French government official, often claiming to be the deputy director general of the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs. So bullshit position. He used forged government stationery and credentials to enhance credibility. So he invited prominent scrap metal dealers to a secretive meeting at the luxurious Hotel de Crillon, emphasizing confidentiality to avoid public outcry. He claimed the government planned to demolish the Eiffel Tower and sell its 7,300 tons of iron scrap. So he convinced these guys that they were going to scrap the Eiffel Tower and he was going to sell it to these fucking scrappers. And so, but the psychology and the way that he influenced these guys was what was so incredible. And that's how he was able to sell it. And so that's what they talk about in the 48 Laws of Power, how this con artist was so good at influencing people that's how he was able to pull off these scams.
Yep.
So it's that influence that's important. It's that power. Power is influence. Influence is power. So I definitely recommend that read. It's a fantastic book. But point is that there's been some fantastic scams out there. There's some genius scammers.
Yeah, that's a great one. I wonder what like laws of power that like fell under. But that what you were saying reminded me of something that I saw of perception. perceptions versus what is it? Perceptions versus
I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to put what law of power was characterized by Victor Lustig when selling the Eiffel Tower. Okay, let's do this real quick. Who emailed me? Let's see what's going on here. Okay. So Victor Lustig's audacious. It was Law 32. Play to people's fantasies.
ooh.
So how Lustig applied it. Fantasy of opportunity. Lustig targeted scrap metal dealers, particularly Andre Poisson, who were ambitious but insecure. Dreaming of elevating their status in Parisian business circles, he presented the Eiffel Tower sale as a once-in-a-lifetime chance to secure a massive government contract for 7,300 tons of iron, appealing to their greed and desire for prestige. So he did it through illusion of exclusivity, exploiting discontent, bribe as validation. When Poisson hesitated to buy the Eiffel Tower, Lustig demanded a bribe, e.g. 70,000 francs, worth over $1 million today, which paradoxically reinforced the fantasy. Poisson interpreted the bribe as proof of a corrupt but genuine government deal, as it fits his worldview of how such transactions worked. Interesting.
Yeah.
So Lustig demanded that Poisson paid him a bribe on top of the actual sale of the Eiffel Tower, making it seem like, oh, wow, Lustig really is working for the government because he wants a bribe. So he charged him more, and that's how he fucking finessed him.
That's crazy. Twice too is the crazy part.
Sold
Is
it
that he got away
twice.
with it.
Yeah.
Oh, what I was thinking of before that I couldn't think of what the second word was. It was perception versus perspective versus perception. So your perspective, and this is why a lot of people argue with other people, right? You have your perception of how the world, that's how you see reality. It's your perception. And maybe this goes a lot in politics. People have their perception of how they think the government should go. It could be for anything, right? It's just how you perceive the world. It's your reality. But there is perception in how other people, your perspective is only good for you. Your other people, even you, Priyama, like we have a lot of similarities, but you don't see life how I see it in my perspective. How people should connect is thinking about other people's perspective. So that's thinking about how everyone else thinks about it, not just yourself. One, I think that solves a lot of arguments, but I think it goes back to, one what you're saying with this guy. He probably got the perspective of other people. He was like, well, what does this guy want in life? And how can I sell it to him through this Eiffel Tower scheme? Right? So that he's taking on the perspective of them and thinking, what do they want? And like you said, it was, what was it?
Prestige.
Luxury. Yeah, prestige. So yeah, thinking about their desires and what they want in life, and then he ultimately used that as fuel for his sales tactics. But I think it goes further than that, especially with argumentative people. They don't see the world from their own. They see the world only from their own perspective, but not everyone else's perspective. So that's just kind of remind me of that. And I think it goes a long way in business, especially if you're going to be a salesperson. You have to be communicative with other people who you might not even agree with or want to talk to, but you're trying to extract dollars out of their wallet is the key. And that's just a simple note to take part of is your perspective is it's linked to you. It's your reality, but the perception is how everybody else can see that as well. So it's important to get other people's perspective on things.
It's a fantastic point because perspective is everything, right? If you don't understand someone else's perspective, you can't play to their fantasies, you can't play to their desires, etc. When you understand what somebody else wants, that's how you sell them anything. Because once I know what you want, I just have to give you what you want, and then you pay me for it, right? So what's their perspective? That's such an important point. It's not about what your perception of reality is or your perception of this person is. What's their perspective? Do you understand what they want? Do you know how to get them what they want? Great. That's how you sell somebody. Victor Lustig, one of the greatest con men of all time, understood this. What was this guy's perspective? What were his fantasies? He played to his fantasies and he sold him the Eiffel Tower for millions of dollars. MBC. And here's the thing too. He was conning intelligent, successful businessmen. He wasn't conning a person with low IQ who's an idiot. They just gullible and buy anything. If you can find the perspective and sell to people with money who are intelligent, who are capable, that's how you know you're going to be successful. That's how you know you're going to be able to make money, because you can influence people who are difficult to influence. You can influence people who are used to being the influencers. So if they're willing to accept your influence, you're doing something at a high level. You're doing something well. That perspective is huge.
Yeah, it's because you could be having the worst day of your life, could be terrible, but you bump into someone who's having a great day and maybe you say the right thing and then you could sell them on something, right? So even if you're having your worst day, something could happen and you're having a terrible day, but you open your perception of the people around you and how they're acting and what they want, and you could still do whatever you want.
Very interesting. What a good concept there. Law 32, play to people's fantasies. So from the 48 Laws of Power. Definitely, if anybody has not read that, I would encourage you to read that. Now, here's the other interesting with the 48 Laws of Power. It's a book that you can't take too literally. Some people I know don't like the book or hate the book because it's too cynical. It's too...
Is it biblical?
No, it's not biblical. It's just too cynical, you can't take it too literally. If you take it too literally and actually try to implement every law at all times, you're going to drive yourself insane. You drive yourself fucking crazy, because it forces you to be very cynical in the way that you move, which is just not an ideal way for somebody to live their life. And so I understand why a lot of people don't like the book, in the sense that they take it too literal. It seems to be too cynical for them. But it doesn't mean that everything that's in there is incorrect. No, everything that's said in there is true, is real. You can implement. You just got to have you have to be very careful on how literal you take it, though. Because there are laws in there about, using people around you, using your friends. There's laws about exploiting women, it's very cynical, the book.
I see what you mean, yeah.
But everything that they talk about is true. It works. And it's a very good read too, because then you can also understand what other people are trying to get from you, which is very important. So it's good to understand somebody else's perspective, but it's also important to understand what somebody else wants from you and how they're trying to get it from you. So once you understand the strategies that people could deploy on you, it allows you to also maneuver more intelligently, maneuver better, so that you don't get taken advantage of. Or if you're going to allow the manipulation, just make sure you're allowing it for the right reasons, because you want that to be the outcome. So you allow the manipulation. So in some scenarios, maybe you do want what they want for you. So that's fine. I'm going to let it happen, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it comes back to the crypto stuff. It's like if you're a beginner just getting in, and when I was a beginner getting into it a couple years ago, if you start joining up in these anonymous groups with these people who are posting a bunch of meme coins, and they're like, here, new airdrop for this coin, and get involved and send me your wallet address, or they want you to send them any type of crypto, just get away from those people immediately, because they're just for the most part, trying to rip you off. And you have to understand like where they're coming from. If you're a newbie and you're asking a lot of questions in this, Telegram about a crypto coin that you just invested in, they're probably going to try to take advantage of you and trying to get whatever money you got left in that wallet out of you. So that's one of the main things, especially like what we're talking about in the crypto world. There's a lot of phony actors out there, a lot of hype beasts who are going to hype things up and tell you to buy this and buy that. And sometimes, sometimes they're right, but most of the time you just have to be cautious and be cognitive of who you're listening to.
Yeah, exactly. Because everybody has an agenda that you listen to. So what's their agenda, right? What are they trying to get out of you? What are they trying to accomplish? Or what value are they trying to extract from you? Manipulation is happening at all times. You just have to understand whether or not it's good for you or not. Everybody's manipulating each other at all times. Okay? Yeah. That's just the reality of it. So just identify that. Don't be naive to it, and then understand, what is this person trying to accomplish? Is it good for me? Is it bad for me with this manipulation, right? So I pulled up the 48 Laws of Power just to give you a few that just give you an idea what the book's about for the listeners. So the first law, and this one is one of the ones that it's a golden rule for me, and it's so true. Law one is never outshine the master. So make those above you feel superior. Avoid threatening their ego to maintain favor. Okay. I this one was one I knew intuitively without actually reading the book. So, for example, when I first came into the insurance industry, I worked with the first brokerage. I understood who the leaders were. I understood who the owners were. I didn't fucking push back on anything. Whatever I was told to do, I did it 100%. Zero pushback, zero questions asked. I just fucking did it. Guess what that did for me? Number one, it worked because they knew better than me, so why wouldn't I listen to them? And two, they loved me for that because I was no headache at all to them. Never outshine the master. It is such an important law of power because it allows you to maintain the favor of those who are above you. If people are above you and they have power over your position, power over your salary, power over your income, power over your mentorship, why would you want to outshine that person? It will never help you. Play to their ego, gain favor with them. Naturally, they'll pull you up because they like you. Naturally, they'll give you more because they like you. And then when the time is right, then you can do what you need to do. Once you have enough leverage, enough power to either overthrow that individual, go start something, your own business, etc. But in the meantime, you never outshine your master. There's no reason for it.
Yeah, I would say probably the main reason most people do that is because of their own egos. So they think they're better than them. They think they are the star of the show. You see it. You see that with a lot of guys. A lot of guys, they might be good at what they do, but they got a big ego and they got a big yapper on them. Want to be talking, and then eventually the guy above them will either cut them off or kick them to the curb, and then they got to restart.
It happens all the time. And the worst part about it is 9 times out of 10, the person that's trying to outshine the master doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about anyways. So they're not even doing it in the fact that they are right and they know better. No, I promise you, most of the time you don't know better. That's why this person's leading you. This is why this person has power over you for the meantime. So there's no sense in pushing back or outshining the master. That's a great law.
That was a good one.
The second one is never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. So this is one of those ones where it becomes more cynical. Some people don't like some of these more cynical laws because they're basically just saying, well, I mean, that's the law. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use your enemies, right? That's why they say keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. If you're able to manipulate your enemies, you're going to gain a lot more value out of that as opposed to your friends. And so it says friends can betray you due to envy. Enemies, if won over, may be more loyal as they have something to prove. Very good point, right? So saying if you can win over an enemy of yours, naturally, because they don't have that personal relationship with you, they're going to be more likely to just do things just to impress you, do things to gain favor with you, because they don't feel like they're owed anything, right?
It's a good point because think about like who are our enemies in today's day and age? Maybe some other guys who are in the entrepreneurship niche, who start communities and they build businesses, right? Yeah, there are enemies in terms of business, right? We want people to come join our community and join us in our what we're building and what we're doing. So maybe we could call them enemies per se, right? But if we get so close to that other guy and learn from him, steal some of his tactics, learn how he's getting people in, and keep him close, not only to learn from him, but eventually maybe, hey, you're bringing in all these people, you're doing great, come work with us, and then you win him over. I think that's what that's trying to say and what you were trying to say there. Kind
Exactly.
of down those lines.
Exactly. There's more value to attracting a previous competitor, somebody you don't have a previous personal relationship with, because they're going to feel more inclined to actually work and get shit done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second one. I'll give it just a couple more, and then we'll wrap this up. So that's the second one. Third one is conceal your intentions. Keep your plans secret to avoid resistance or sabotage from others. Number 4, always say less than necessary. Silence creates mystery and reduces the risk of revealing weaknesses.
I love that one. I
Great
don't like
law.
talking a lot.
Great law. So you women, Make sure you pay attention to that one. Number 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Your reputation shapes how others treat you. Protect and cultivate it carefully. Here's a little side point on this. Lustig used forged credentials to build a reputable persona as a government official. Great law. So, number 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. So there's the first 5 laws, the 48 laws of power for you.
Wow. Good stuff there.
Yeah. Fantastic book. Very long, but worth it. It's a good book.
So yeah, I think that's a good spot to wrap it up this week. Covered everything we could this week. If you guys you're still watching, tuned in with us, I got double-digit viewers on my end, so appreciate everyone tapping in, checking out the fellas tonight. We're gonna be live. Promo will be live tomorrow, Thursday. Maybe since you did your live stream this morning as well tomorrow.
I'll be live again tomorrow because I didn't get to do Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah, so live tomorrow for the crypto analysis with Priamo. I'll be live on Sunday. I think I'm going to do something AI related. I'm going to get some resources together for the community as well. So if anyone watching from the community, definitely want to shed some more light on some AI stuff while keeping up with investments in crypto and such. So that's all I got for today. Any closing words, Pri?
That sounds good to me, player. Let's fucking rock it. And then this weekend too, I'm sure we'll talk about in the Discord the AI shit, doing some website stuff. Except we got to get this shit cracking. So we'll get that put together. Start using AI to build applications and websites. That's gonna be sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beauty. All right, gentlemen. Do a little Mr. Producer. Ready? Hold on. Stream ending.
Hold up. What there?
Yeah, hold on. And then here we go. Mr. Producer. We got all them hoes. Mr. Producer. We got all them.